إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. May Allah bless and raise the status of the perfect soul of our Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whose blessed nur is a guider for us from now until the end of time. And may Allah bless His beloved companions, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Uthman, and Sayyidina Ali, and the over 10,000 Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. May Allah bless the souls of the people of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's great family, Ahlul Bayt, and all our sheikhs and teachers who have brought us the mighty gift of Islam. May Allah bless the Ansar and the Muhajirin and all the Muslims and non-Muslims of the earth. Guide all of us, Ya Rabb, and never deprive us of your rahmah, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Amma ba'd. Upon the conclusion of Ramadan and into the month of Shawwal, we are about 3 weeks in now. It is only natural for a person's spirituality and the intensity of their good deeds to dip, right? Because we're not surrounded by the same level of barakah and the same level of rahmah we were in the month of Ramadan, right? There's a special barakah and rahmah associated with the month of Ramadan. Not to mention that the shayateen have been freed to whisper into the chests of humans. During the month of Ramadan, we were really connected to the Masjid, coming in for Taraweeh every night, for iftars, for i'tikafs, seeing the same brothers and sisters' faces multiple times a day, right, depending on the day. Very connected to the Quran, listening to the Quran, reading the Quran. But now that Ramadan is over, we're experiencing that dip. And perhaps for some of us, if not all of us, Shaytan is, the waswas of Shaytan is tempting us to go back to the same bad habits we had before Ramadan, right? That we worked so hard to break during the month of Ramadan. So the question is, Ramadan is in another 10 or so months from now. So how does a person stay engaged with their ibadah? How does a person protect themselves from the Shaytan? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Fatir verse 6, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. Indeed, Shaytan is an enemy, so take him as an enemy. Now when you take someone as an enemy, do you let your guard down around them? Imagine an army taking camp. Do they not have soldiers patrolling the area to make sure that there's no invasion coming in, to make sure that the other soldiers aren't planning a surprise attack, right? They plan all these things ahead of time. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned over 70 unique attacks that Shaytan will use against us in the Quran. And it is our job to understand what these attacks are so that we are equipped and that we can prevent any breaches from coming into our base, which is our heart. It is our responsibility to understand who this enemy is. What do they want from us? How are they going to attack us? Where are they coming from? Right? Why do they want to attack us? Who are they specifically attacking? Because I can tell you right now, the people who are in ghafla, the people who are heedless, that are already headed in the wrong direction, the shayateen are not concerning themselves with those people. May Allah guide all of us. But for the people who are coming to the Masjid, right, for the Jum'ah khutbahs and whatnot, the people who wish to raise their kids on the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the people who wake up one morning telling themselves, you know what? Today I take a step towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today I work towards forgiving those who've wronged me, and I work towards apologizing to the ones I've wronged. Today I work towards building good habits in replacing the bad ones. People who are willing to change for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they're optimistic in His rahmah as they should be, these people are the ones the shayateen are targeting. So in today's khutbah, we take a look at the conversation that Iblis had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after he refused to do sajda for Adam alayhi salam. He laid out his entire game plan for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah mentioned it to us in the Quran. From this conversation, we're able to extract what is the goal of Shaytan, right? What does he want to do to us? How does he plan to achieve this goal, right? What unique strategies and attacks is he going to use against us to achieve this goal? And lastly, why does he want to achieve this goal? What is the meaning behind his madness? That will come towards the end of the khutbah, inshallah. in Surah A'raf, verse 16, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعَدُنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. He said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you left me to stray, right? He blames Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him going astray. Because you left me to go to stray, I will wait in ambush on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. The Sirat al-Mustaqim, we make dua for this over 16 times a day. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. We're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. And Shaytan is telling Allah that he's going to sit on that path and prevent us from going through. Not only is he going to sit on that path to prevent us, he's actually going to lie in ambush. We're going to get there, we're not going to see him coming, he's going to come to us, right? Min sharril waswasil khannas. He goes and he comes, he goes and he comes. He doesn't want to constantly be coming at us because we're going to expect it. He wants to come at us with a surprise attack. And once we pass him, what's he going to do? He's actually going to go ahead of us and wait for us there too. We're not going to expect him, we're not going to see him coming. He's going to pounce at us. And this doesn't end until we leave and go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? He's very relentless in his attacks to the human beings. He then tells Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ. Then I will attack them from their front, from their back, from their right and from their left. Right? And you know, you can hear this, you might be thinking that this is Shaytan's way, this is Iblis's way of emphasizing his relentlessness in attacking us. And you'd be right. However, each of these directions actually represents something specific. These are specific attacks. These are specific strategies and specific directions Shaytan is using to breach into our hearts, to put in his waswasa. And it is important for us to understand what these strategies are, because for some of us, we're more vulnerable to certain directions than others. For some of us, we're getting attacked from the front a lot. For some of us, especially the ones with depression and other mental health issues, may Allah help them and help all of us. These people, Shaytan is really hammering them from the back. And I'll explain why in a few moments. But if we're able to understand where these attacks are coming from, this will help us to cut that point of entry off and prevent any breaches from coming from that direction. وَمِن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ. Shaytan tells Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he's going to attack us from the front. And what does attacking us from the front mean? It means he's going to use our future against us. Right? Pessimism, worries, stresses, indecisiveness. He's going to use the extreme concerns of the future to affect a human being. And let's take Shaytan out of the equation for a second. Let's talk about it from a dunya perspective. A person who's overwhelmed with stress about the future, this person is extremely vulnerable. They're in a very weak state. This person is not very stable at this moment. If they can't sleep because of overwhelming worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, if they're so worried that tomorrow or my future is not looking good for me, I'm not going to pass this exam, I'm not going to get that job, I'm going to get fired, my business is going to fail. If these are thoughts going through someone's mind, this person is extremely vulnerable. And since Shaytan knows that, he wants to capitalize on us, and he's going to use that as a point of entry, and then he's going to put in his waswasa into our hearts. Of course, for somebody to plan for his future, to save up, right, to think about it, right, these are good things, right? It'll be extremely foolish for a person to just walk into the future with no plan. We're not talking about that. We're talking about somebody who's overwhelmingly worried that tomorrow is going to be a bad day. The future is looking bleak for that person, right? And on the contrary, وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ. Shaytan says he's also going to attack us from the back, which means he's going to use our past against us, right? Regrets, grievances, over mistakes we've made, over chances that we thought we could have taken or we should have taken, or opportunities we thought slipped through our fingers. He's going to use these against us. And similar to what I just said in the last point, someone who is overwhelmingly regretting and self-loathing about themselves over something that happened yesterday is extremely vulnerable. This person cannot move forward. This person can't achieve anything in their life, right? I'm trying to do well in school this semester, but if I'm worried, if I'm thinking about last semester I didn't do well because I didn't study, or I don't have the motivation, or I studied but I'm just not understanding what I'm learning in school, this person is not going to succeed again. They're going to fail once again. These are two very powerful attacks from Shaytan that he uses against a person, right? And not to mention, obviously, looking to the past to gain insight towards how can I improve, right? Like a sports player obviously watches his previous matches, right? How is he going to know where he's going wrong, right? looking to the past to gain insight towards how to improve your future, that's obviously important. But in terms of overwhelmingly regretting the past, this is where the problem lies. And Shaytan understands that. That's why he's using these two attacks very frequently on us, the future and the past. Which is why our Messenger ﷺ taught us a very important dua for us to make. Allahumma a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan. O Allah, we seek refuge in you from worries and from regrets. What does a person worry about? Their future. And what does a person regret? Their past. And as Shaykh Wali told us in class one time, the ham wal hazan, the worries and the regrets are like two beasts that stare a person in the face every day when they wake up in the morning. And if we're able to overcome these two beasts and we're able to knock them down, not only will that maximize our productivity and happiness for that day, but that actually demonstrates tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if we can develop the mindset that what happened yesterday and what's going to happen tomorrow, it doesn't matter. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I belong to Allah and I will return to Allah, and the rest are details. Brothers and sisters, wallahi, you've achieved happiness and success. And Shaytan understands that. That's why he does it. That's why he's very relentless in attacking us from the front and from the back. وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ. Now going on to the right side. When he says he's going to attack us from the right side, what is he referring to? To our good deeds. He wants to prevent us. He wants to slow us down from doing good deeds. He wants to slow us down from getting involved in our communities. He wants us to slow us down from helping our ummah and being concerned over our ummah. You know the feeling when you listen to an inspirational khutbah online or in a Jum'ah khutbah, and you're telling yourself, you know what, I'm going to do something. But when it comes time to actually doing it, all of a sudden you start second guessing yourself and making excuses. Let's say you wanted to volunteer at the Masjid, but then all of a sudden you start telling yourself, you know, I'm tired, I feel lazy, someone else is going to do it. Or mashallah, we have some youth that are extremely academically inclined and talented, right? Top of their class in high school and onto university and even into masters and beyond, right? Very academically inclined. But when it comes time to learn their deen and study this in Islamic science, they'll tell you, I don't have time, or it's not my thing, it's not really clicking, I don't really understand it. Perhaps it's someone else's path in life. It's for someone else to pursue. Or when it comes to fundraising for the masjid, right? When it comes time to fundraise for the masjid, all of a sudden the thoughts of, I'm backed up on my bills, inflation rate is increasing, the interest rates are increasing, should I sell my house now or in 6 months or in a year? My kids are going to university, my kids are going to get married in the next few years, my retirement savings plan, right? All these different thoughts, my investments, all these different thoughts are coming into you. All these thoughts present themselves in front of you at that moment. But subhanAllah, when we go to the restaurant or when we go to on vacation, we don't think about these things. Brothers and sisters, Shaytan is filling our heads with incapacity and laziness. Right? He wants to push us back, so he makes you feel incapable. He makes you feel lazy, which is why our Messenger ﷺ taught us another important dua. Allahumma a'udhu bika min al-ajazi wal-kasal. O Allah, we seek refuge in you from incapacity and laziness. Because it is the feeling of incapacity that is stopping us. It is the feeling of laziness that is stopping us. It is the feeling of being paralyzed and not being able to take a step forward and just do something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, as an ummah, we are capable of a lot, physically, mentally, academically, professionally, financially. We can do so much. But the problem is the shaitan filling our heads with incapacity and making us feel lazy. And brothers and sisters, just to speak logically for a second again, right? And I'm speaking to myself here too because we're all victims of this. If Allah is the provider, right? Allah is Ar-Razaq. Will the reason for my poverty be because I donated some money to the masjid? Or I donated some money to Gaza? May Allah give them the fatih, inshallah. Amen. Or because I sponsored an orphanage in another country, or even here as well. Will that be the reason of my poverty? Will Allah, who's providing for me, make me poor because of that? When you say it out loud, it makes no sense. But you know what? This is actually a specific, calculated attack from Shaytan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that specifically in the Quran. Ash-shaytanu ya'idukumul faqr. Shaytan promises you poverty. Now that we know that, we're ready to counter it. We're ready to counter it and prevent it from coming to us again. Shaytan makes you feel poor. Understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already said that's going to happen. We know that for a fact. Inshallah, that inspires us to whenever there's another fundraiser, any time to give anything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we push ourselves, inshallah. وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ. And from the left side, Shaytan is going to attack us by beautifying our sins. He's going to give us reasons to justify why committing sins is a good idea, or make sins look good to us, or make sins look attractive and beneficial for us. And one example of this that comes to mind is, youth in high school, college, or university, right? At that moment, they're not fully developed. Their emotions are running high, and this makes it so much easier for Shaytan if they're following the wrong friends in school, or they're following the wrong accounts on social media, or they've idolized the wrong people. It's very easy for Shaytan not to turn them 180 and say, go from the Masjid to this other place that's displeasing to Allah, wa'iyadu billah. It's not that simple. But what Shaytan can do is convince this young man or woman, hey, why don't you follow your friends and just, check out what they're doing over there, right? Just be, it's kind of poking at their curiosity, right? See how haram it really is. See how wrong it is wrong, but just go see it, experiment. But in reality, what Shaytan is actually trying to do is give you a reason to justify yourself going, and slowly but surely justification after justification until you actually commit the sin itself. It doesn't happen overnight. وَمِن شَرِّ الْوَسْوَاسِ الْخَنَّاسِ. He goes and comes back. It doesn't come one time and take you all the way. So this is how Shaytan attacks us, from the front, from the back, from the right, and from the left. But what is his goal? Why is he trying to achieve this? What is the meaning behind his madness? What is he trying to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. And I will prove to you, and you will not find many of them, he's referring to us as human beings, you will not find many of them grateful. This is really important to note, because all this mayhem, all this scheming, all these plans, all these different tactics and strategies, at the end of the day, are going to be ungrateful. And what's really interesting and important to understand here is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala criticized Iblis for being arrogant. And instead of Iblis telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you think I'm arrogant, I'm going to show you how Bani Adam is also arrogant, right? They're no better than me in this regard. Actually, what he says is, I will prove to you that Bani Adam is ungrateful, which means in the Islamic context, ingratitude and arrogance are synonymous with one another. They mean the same thing. And if you think about it, someone who's ungrateful actually feels too entitled to recognize what someone has done for them, right? If someone is ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they didn't get one thing they wanted, they didn't pass one exam, or they didn't get one job, or they didn't marry one specific person, they've negated all other blessings they've been given. Their health, their money, their kids, the respect they have in their communities, things that so many other people don't have, they've negated them, they've buried them under the dirt. They don't recognize them. They're too arrogant to acknowledge them. Actually, you could use the word arrogance for someone who's ungrateful if you think about it. But at a much deeper level than that, if we're unable to recognize the ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided to us, actually we are actually incapable of recognizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Because the ni'mah that Allah provides us, as Shaykh Ali told us, these are actually windows to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through. Right? The fact that my heart is beating without me thinking about it. The fact that I can go to sleep and my muscles will recover itself, right? My white blood cells will deal with the sickness inside me. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to take Advil. I don't have to take medicine. In fact, I can even eat ice cream and all types of junk food, and I'll still recover. I'll still recover. If I'm unable to recognize that, I can't recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? If you think about it at a deeper level. So it is paramount for us to recognize our blessings in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and recognize that if we don't get one thing, we have so many other things. Brothers and sisters, Ramadan is over. And the shayateen have been let free. They have been let free to run amok and to cause mayhem and to cause conflict between a person and his society, a person and his family, a person and his own self. How many people we hear committing suicide? But brothers and sisters, despite all of that, you and I have nothing to worry about. You and I and all other Muslims have absolutely nothing to worry about, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affirmed for us in the Quran, إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. Indeed, certainly, as a matter of fact, the plan of the devil is weak. It is fragile. It can be seen through and knocked down, provided that we maintain our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Iblis mentioned 4 directions, but he didn't mention one. He didn't mention the top. Why? Because the top represents our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we can maintain that and we can strengthen that, well then the attacks from Shaytan on the other 4 directions are nullified. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. So we have a car that was not parked in a correct parking spot. License plate CXKW491. It looks like a Kia Forte. Please, we have plenty of parking. If you can please park in one of our designated spots, we'd really appreciate that. JazakAllahkhair. If we hold on to our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we nullify the attacks of Shaytan all around us. Ramadan is over, but don't let this be the year where we put our Quran on the shelf to collect dust. We may have done that last year, and the year before, and the decade before. But let's not do it again this year. Let this year be different. Let us return to the Quran. Let us return to the dhikr of Allah. Let us intensify our dua. Let us maintain and strengthen that connection we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to nullify the attacks from all around us. So that when the angel of death comes to us, the angel of death will find us in a state of shukr, gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will come out as the victors against Shaytan and his evil plot. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. اللهم أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. Ya Rabb, we ask all of you to protect us from the evil of Shaytan, his evil plan, his whispers, and all his followers. Ya Rabb, give everyone here, protect all of us from the worries and the regrets of worries of tomorrow and the regrets of yesterday. Ya Rabb, forgive all of us. Ya Rabb, let us be consistent on our ibadah. Ya Rabb, let us love our ibadah. Ya Rabb, let everybody here be forgiven for their sins, and let everybody here represent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the workplaces, in the society, and in their families. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Just a couple announcements. So school tours have opened. So if you know anybody who's interested in registering the kids for the full-time elementary, full-time high school, they're more than welcome to book a meeting with Sister Dania and the teachers. They can give them a full tour of the high school. You can go on our website and book that meeting. You can also talk to the volunteers to help you out with that. Also our fundraiser. So we've reached 280,000. We got another 120K left to go. I believe if you do the math, that's around 12.5K per month starting now. If we can all put that together. I don't know if my math is wrong, but if we can put that together, inshallah, we will reach our goal of $400,000. We need these funds to cover the rent for the masjid, and if we don't get it, as you know, we will lose the facility. So please, let's put our hands together and let us support our masjid. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullahu khairan wa aqim as-salah.